let's get this started with, people. Reader's Digest, November 2023. Let's start off with the cover story of all. I survived. This is a bunch of stories that actually go ahead and talk about some people's lives. Now, let's start off with my flooded apartment. This guy is this part. There are going to be 3 stories right now, and all these 3 people have nothing in common except for one thing. They faced death and lived to tell about it. So let's just go ahead and start talking about it. Christian Fleischmann at the age of 33. And yeah, so apparently he finally climbed into his bed at 1:20 a.m. in the morning. And it was July 15th, 2021, which was 3 years ago. And his friends had celebrated his 31st birthday in the basement apartment of his sister's home where he lived. And earlier in the day, he prepared for everything, except for the unlikely event for a flood. And they were a certain mile from the banks on the Ahr River in Sinzig, Germany. And it's because of that, it had been raining buckets that week, and authorities have actually issued a flood warning. So, not where he was. And so, still, he did place sandbags on the floor and everything, and he did prefer for it. But then as he drifted off to sleep, he was awakened by the sound of flash water. And that means, boom, you got it right, floods! And he realized, shocked by the sensation, realized there was the flood and there was a sensation of cold water out of him, and he was pretty shocked about it. And he thought it was a burst pipe in the bathroom. And then he grabbed his cell phone and turned on the cell side, flashlight. And then that was when he realized it wasn't a burst pipe at all, but it was a flood. And to be sure enough, he panicked. Of course, who wouldn't panic in this situation? And whatever sleepy effects they had of the drinks that they did, everything was starting to disappear. The lamps were shattering, the cupboards were being torn apart, everything. And they were crashing all apart. And it was relentless. And then the water was up to his waist, and then bare hands with his boxer shorts plastered to his body, he started to wait to the only escape, the door that leads upstairs to the rest of the house. And all around him, things were breaking. And yeah, everything was breaking. And finally he made it to the door, and he tried to pull it open. However, the force of water wouldn't let him, and he tried several times to pry even open even just a little bit, but the rushing water just slammed it shut again. And he looked for anything that he could wedge between them for long enough time. There was a broom, a coat rack, and a heavy sword from medieval fare. And he grabbed them all and once again pried the door and between the door and the frame, and put those things between the door and the frame. Also, why would he have a sword though? And then that happened, and he made it to the hallway, and it was pitch black. He leaped on the stairs leading up to the rest of the house and ran to the third floor where his sister lived. And he knocked on her door, calling for her, trying to see if she was okay, until she remembered that she wasn't home that night. And that's when he went downstairs to the main floor and ran outside, and now panting. There was a bunch of streets, and it was lovely and everything, but the river had drowned the neighborhood, and he just had to wait up there. And so he's been assured that this happens only once 100 years, and he hopes so, because more than 180 people died, and parts of villages in the region were entirely washed away. And these days, he's living in his parents' place in the middle of town and sleeping in his dad's office. And he studies psychology at a university and work with children in schools, teaching them martial arts. And he can never go back living in the apartment because he just keeps thinking, what if it does happen again? Now, of course, they didn't have flood insurance because the house wasn't considered to be located in a high-risk area, so they were fixing it up on their own. His old apartment, which was now dried out and repaired, will house his martial arts school. And many of the houses around them were destroyed. And yeah, unfortunately, yeah. However, his mother did say one thing that was important. Don't remember the day that you lost everything. Remember the day you survived. And next, we have a parachute malfunction by a guy named Jordan Hatmaker at the age of 36. This was also on November 14th of 2021. And this was a perfect day for skydiving and sunny with a little wind. And he was like, let's go skydiving. And he always went going there. And what drew him to skydiving was that he always loved, according to him, flirting with danger. And he joined other 150. He joined other 150 people, and then they went up, and then they realized, oh no, the chute was tangled, and they went ahead, and then the pilot chute happened, and it was at roughly 4,000 feet. And as they cruised, he or she tried to go ahead and do things, and she tried the parachute, and afterwards she was caught off guard. But then the next thing that seemed to happen is that her body smashed into the ground, and she felt as if the muscles and bones were on fire, and she tried to get up because that's what you're supposed to do if you don't land on your feet, and it shows everyone you're okay, but she wasn't okay. She couldn't move anything below her waist. Apparently, she broke a lot of bones. She had a shattered ankle, a broken shin, and a spinal injury that caused a spinal fluid leak. And no one would tell her if she would walk again. But she was determined, and by February of 2022, just 3 months after the crash, she walked again for the first time. And it became a heavy course of physical therapy that she's still doing to this day. And afterwards, even being unable to lift her legs because of the accident. And last November, she climbed up to the Mount Everest base camp. And yes, she plans to skydive again, only she hasn't told her parents yet. Tut tut. Next, we have a guy named Shannon St. Onge at the age of 38 and in a snownado. Yes, apparently that's a thing. A snownado, basically, it's supposed like a snowstorm and a tornado, apparently. Now, it was the evening on Monday, January 31st of 2022. She was working from home, but she had to leave in the afternoon to go to the office at the First Nations University in Regina, Saskatchewan, so she could like sign an emergency financial aid check for a student. And as the director of finance, of course she would go ahead and do it. And she figured she had more than enough time to go ahead and go home, and so the route to the university takes about 30 minutes along the Trans-Canada Highway. And when she got there, her colleague actually came to her office to co-sign the check, and then he left for the day. And as she was packing up, she noticed he had left his laptop back in his office. Like, yeah. And so he was like, shoot, I'm already home. And then she's all like, you know what, I'll just bring it to you. It was 4:30 p.m. and the snow wasn't supposed to start until later. But just to be safe, she actually just crossed the country road to his home instead of the highway, which would be faster than the skating rink. And on the way to his place, she picked up a new cell phone charger, filled up with like SUV with gas, and picked up 2 stuffed crust pizzas because she promised her 15-year-old daughter and 10-year-old son that she'd bring some home for dinner. Nice. It took her about 15 minutes to get to her colleague's house, and then she dropped off the laptop case and got right back on the road. And then that's when the snow started and was coming down fast. And of course, yeah, it happened because, and it started to be called a tornado, or what the TV media called a Saskatchewan screamer, because it comes in fast and so windy that it literally screams like snownado. I like to think of it as a tornado and a snow coming together. And then the road switched from the paved to gravel, and that forced her to slow her down. And then she tried walking, and then like loads and loads of hours later, she suddenly survived, and a truck was behind, and then she was able to live the day. And yes, she did get her kids some frozen pizza. Yay! All right. That's over. Next, we're gonna have to talk about the lessons of life. How to get along with anyone, and how can you get along with anyone? Literally anyone. Like whether you're going the talkative guy, or you're the funky guy, or you're the guy who swears a lot, or you're like the that kind of guy. Whatever you are, you're just gonna go ahead. You could get along with anyone. Now, politely talking, small talk isn't the only way you can actually do this. Like, Davey Shower, his day was ruined by one swell sleep. Ooh, what are you expecting? Asked the family friend, eyeballing my body, her body up and down, and sheepishly shook her head, instantly regretting both her party dress and her ample plate of mini sandwiches. That was pretty weird. And that happens. Lots of people actually go ahead and do things too. And this is how you can get along with lots of people. Let's start off with the complainer. Like, this is the type of guy who's all like, the restaurant is too expensive, or the music is too loud, or the burger is overdone, and I hardly tasted it anyhow because I'm probably coming down with something. And yeah, because apparently this guy, you just have to gotta kill him with kindness and hope it kind of rubs off. You have to kill them with kindness. Okay. Next, we have the contrarian. Now, the contrarian is like, you just have to learn to value their opinion overall. Apparently, they like selfish people too. The chatterbox. Now, the chatterbox is like, you just listen to them. Just listen to them and listen to their stories and run out. And once the chatterbox has actually run out of things to say, their need to be heard. Their need to be heard has been met. So now it's your turn. And jump in with something like, I just love all your stories and I have one for you too. And for once, from there, the floor is yours. Now, it's the tech addict. Now, remember, the tech addict's annoying habit isn't about isn't about you. It isn't about you. It's about him. It's about him, and he just goes ahead and do things too. Now here, if they indeed have a flat tire or a sick kid, you just won't assume it's because your stories are boring or whatever. It's just that they do care about their foes more than you. But hey, at least you can just get along with it. Just go away with it. Now let's go with the political antagonist. This person's ideology is fundamentally different from everyone's, and they've read the news and or the dark web if you somehow got on, and as usual they're ready and eager to rumble. Yikes. And so you could continue, like, you could do things and start actually going ahead with them, and you could go ahead and talk with politics. Just try to go on their side. And how can you avoid pointless squabble? The line is personal hostility, and don't cross it. And if you're even nearing that boundary, turn down the dial. If your sparring partner is like getting angry or aggressive, try this guy named Guzman's suggestion to de-escalate things. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that this matters so much to you. And you could continue with like, tell me more, and that might be a productive way. And yeah. I don't think I'll go into politics that much. Next, we have the inappropriate jokester. Every family has one, so let's just call him Uncle Bob. Apparently, this thing that says, though, he's loud and brash and his opinions haven't changed since the 80s. And just as you happily passing the sweet potatoes around the dinner table, he decides now is a good time to actually drop a totally inappropriate joke. There's three possible, there's three explanations for this. But hey, I'm not going to go ahead and explain everything. So there's something in every bad joke that he's frustrated by, like apparently Bob. But Guzman himself can't say it. If you can get Uncle Bob to let it out, hopefully he'll do better next year. Next, you have the drama queen. Now, the chatterbox is on steroids. And the drama queen, or king, are someone who suddenly dominates the conversation, chatting your ear off about wild things you will never believe are happening in the worst week ever. And the boring details of the week, or meanwhile, can't possibly compare. So, don't even try actually talking about your things with this drama queen. Now, try to avoid these people, to be honest. You're sticking around for her, like, you just have to stick around for her. There's no drama required. The frenemy. This one's a little weird. It's like friend and enemy, a relationship, a phenomenon that is so subtle. You're like your friend, but sometimes they're like your worst guy. Yeah. But this is like the passive aggressive. They sometimes can be your friend, and you can like call on them whenever you need to. But sometimes you just can't do anything. Like I have this friend. I used to play Bet Wars with him, and he was a very annoying guy. He would, whenever we played Bet Wars, and then we went ahead and were on different teams because for some reason one team was full already, and some other guy, and was too late to change teams. We all decided like, okay, fine, whatever, and then we're gonna play separate teams. Let's see how well you do, and then. Whenever I went ahead and killed him, he would go ahead and tap my keyboard, so he would kill me too. And I was like, what did you do that for? Because you suck, man. You're the one who died first. And he'd be all like, whatever, you died too. Because you touched my screen. And then, yeah, that got us away a lot of times. It's that happened. And then, well, however, most of the time when we're on the same team, we always worked with each other too. Also, he was pretty annoyed when I killed him and his teammate at the same time. Nice. And then he killed me. I'm taking my computer. Wow. But hey, the best way you can deal with them is just be highly competitive on the surface, but underneath they're insecure, hurt, or highly distrustful. It says this guy to Gerber. And to turn a frenemy into a real friend, you're just going to have to open up and talk about it. Tell them what you're looking for in a friendship and what you're willing to offer. But if they can't or won't have that conversation, well, that's your answer. Don't be their friend. Next, you have the oversharer. Well, this is someone who comments about literally everything. Someone's sex life, their recurring rash, their BF's messy divorce, or whatever just happened in the bathroom. Yuck. And these are all clues that you've got an oversharer on your hands. And whether they're telling too much or asking for details, you're uncomfortable sharing, you're just going to have to say that it's uncomfortable. Unless they're literally your enemy, and you're going to be like, okay. So to your nosy family friend who commented on the state of, well, her uterus, for example, I could given this wise response. You made having kids look so easy. How'd you do it? And then nod and smile, but you wouldn't get the baby shower do-over in this life. But the next time, you'll be ready to face an oversharer or any of the challenge people. It'll make a world. Just overshare yourself too if you want to, if you're also an oversharer. But all these things here actually are pretty important too. Now, next up, we have to talk about the best mistake I ever made. Now, what is this best mistake you've ever made? This is something that Bob Ross said himself. Like, I'm gonna have to share only a few stories though. Beloved painter Bob Ross was right. There are no mistakes, just happy accidents. Now, wrong person, the right time. You basically get an old high school friend's name pop up on the Facebook, and the account has no photo, but excited and wrote her message. Melinda, I'm so happy to see you again. And she replied, nice to hear from you, Bonnie. Let's catch up and go back and forth from each other and updating each other and everything. But sometimes it wasn't just right. The story just didn't jive with memories, and turned out this was a different Melinda from high school, not the one she thought. And they were having so much fun. We kept in touch, and she's always been a valid friend. Apparently, it's not the same Melinda, so wow. Now, next we have Old Flame Name Game. Apparently, there's this boy game that like a few years ago, there's this guy named Nicole Trevisan and accidentally called her then boyfriend by her ex's name, and then she felt horrible, and then she realized she still values her ex, and then she contacted her ex again, and they've been together ever since. Back together ever since. Wow, that's a better relationship. And then you mistaking the cake. So years ago, there's this guy named Joanne Bimberg, and she. Or is it he? Yeah, she went ahead and tried to make a cheesecake with chocolate in it, and then she realized, and then she thought, did I not put enough chocolate? Apparently she did, and then she put in like 3 times the amount of chocolate, and apparently it was a big hit, and it was dubbed Joanne's Chocolate Truffle Cheesecake, much to her delight. Nice! And that's all the stories I have for now. Next, we're going to have to talk about everyday miracles. Those tiny neighbors. Now, you might be thinking microbes. Well, yeah, you're actually going to be talking about dolls here. There's this guy who actually got a doll, and he's like, where did this doll come from? And you realize there's not much you can actually do with this doll. And then there's Don Powell next to his mailbox, and then there was a set of dolls that mysteriously appeared, and all he did was provide a mailbox, and somebody else decided to make it a home for Mary and Shelley. And Nancy Powell says she can vouch for her husband. It was actually an honestly surprise to us, and Don is the kind of person, though, to play along with it. And Powell's next door says he believes that Don did not move the dolls to the mailbox himself. It's just somebody out there who is having some fun giving us all a little community humor, apparently. And they literally made Mary and Shelley, and they called the dolls Mary and Shelley. Mary Shelley, hey. And they even celebrate the holidays, too. And that's a lot, too. But, hey, I'm not actually going to talk more about this. We're running out of time. Wow, that's... Okay, so we have 3 more stories to meet. Let's start off these last 3 stories with a little cuisine called The Art of Living. Foods, Facts, and Fun. World Meat Protein. This Canadian favorite could be the biggest knee comfort food trend. Also, looking at it just looks like French fries, ketchup, and, I believe, butter? Oh, apparently it's cheese. It's cheese. Apparently it's cheese, and so it's French fries and ketchup and cheese, and that happened. And the word protein actually likely comes from the cubiculus, a slang word for a mess, and this was an admittedly apt description. And protein superfans Livia and Carbol's food economist and the author of Protein Nation actually considers that this is one of the greatest foods ever, and this might be a good comfort food trend too. In Moscow, protein has been renamed Rasputin. Sounds a lot like ratatouille. I like ratatouille a lot, so. And to be honest, this looks a lot like vegetables to me. But then I find out that it's just ketchup and a little sauce that I like with like beef gravy and cheese curds. I'm just gonna call it beef gravy ketchup. That's way better. And that happens, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try this. I try this. I like cheese. I like French fries. I like beef gravy. Maybe it'll be good if I mix them together. I mean, I mix soup and salt all the time. I mix salt and water all. Okay, that was a mistake. I do mix salt and water all the time and drink salt water, just little bits of salt, not like huge heaps of salt. Yeah, and that happens, and yeah, it's when the young owner of like a Leroy Jupiter Diner, Jean Paul Roy, who just so happened to be a trained saucier, was first to douse the fries and curds with gravy, and that happened, and it was an instant success. Everyone started liking it, like nacho fries, ketchup fries. In fact, fries have been like that ever since. But everyone wanting the real deal, to like for all these things like featuring American cheese and caramelized onions and all those kinds of things. But anyone wanting the real deal of these poutines can actually search online for the best local poutine spots in London, Paris, Shanghai, Tokyo, and Moscow, where it has been called Rasputin, and elsewhere. Literally, you can go to like. I could probably go to Shanghai and go to eat some poutine, but I'm not gonna go to Shanghai. I'm not gonna go to Shanghai right now. I've been there before. I love that place, but I'm not going to Shanghai right now. I'd rather go to Korea because I miss that place. Hey, let's go ahead. And next, 2 more stories. This one's 13 things. High-flying facts about drones. Well, first fact. You have to unmanned aerial vehicles might seem like recent technology, but apparently it's been happening since the 1849 during the First Italian War of Independence, and it's a really useful spy tool. Second, Abraham Karam, also known as the drone father, built the first modern drones in the 1970s, and this went on to design the MQ-1 Predator drone for the United States military, which fired its first missile over Afghanistan in the October 2001. Today, drones are being used in the Russian or Ukrainian war for surveillance and recon. And also, Ukraine had to create drones even better because they really need small armies. Number 3, military drones resemble like small airplanes and they can all cost to $50 million a piece. Mini versions, sometimes called quadcopters, look more like tiny helicopters, are available for anyone to buy as little as $40. I'm not sure you're allowed to like use them as missiles, so unless they're like for placing. So number 4, you'll need to be at least 16 years old to register your drone with the Federal Aviation Administration before your aircraft can join the roughly 1 million drones in the U.S. with one exception: toy drones weighing less than half a pound. And yeah, of course, they need to lift something. And the FAA also requires users to maintain sightline, typically 1.5 miles of binocular. And night flying requires a waiver and FAA approval. It's a top request among recreational drone flyers, usually to capture shots of cities lit up against the dark sky. Wow. The 5th is GPS tracking prevents drones from entering no-fly zones like airports and government facilities. And when a drone reaches this boundary or such an area, it will either turn around or go back to its user or automatically land itself. And if a drone has gone into an illegally modified to enter no-fly zones, authorities can shoot it down or electrically jam it so that it falls out of the sky. Meaning, if a drone goes into illegally placed, people can just shoot it or they can just jam it. I wonder if they can shoot a very fast drone, so definitely gotta be able to taste it, so unless like going at light speed. Wait, it's the Flash! Wait, it's not a Flash, it's a Flash drone! That happened. Number 7, the National Association of Realtors actually report that dealers actually go ahead and do things like reports that adding drone footage to your real estate listing could actually help sell your home 68% faster because aerial shots allow prospective buyers to see not just the home itself but also the surrounding neighborhood, which is awesome. 8, people now race drones as they do car, but at like faster speeds. Of course, 0 to 19 miles per hour in less than a second. The first World Drone Prix was actually held in Dubai in 2016, and a teen from the UK grabbed the 250,000 grand prize by maneuvering his drones through 12 laps of the nearly half-mile long course, the fastest. Number 9, using cameras along with the sensors that can detect body heat, search and rescue drones can actually help locate missing people and animals trapped in hard-to-reach areas such as under rubble, and this is pretty useful too. Number 10, sometimes though, it's the crook who are flying the drones, and last year 20 people were arrested in Skinton home using drones to smuggle drugs, weapons, and cash and cell phones to Lee Correctional Institution in Bishopville, South Carolina. Yes, that can happen. Number 11. One day soon, a drone may help deliver your online order. Nice! Online delivery! I never need to wait 50 hours! Just kidding. I never need to wait 5 hours just to get my milk. Number 12. Not only are drones an environmentally friendly delivery method, but also their drones are powered by batteries. But they can help. Most small drones are powered by batteries, but they can also help the planet in other ways too. A Canadian startup called FlashForest is actually helping to reforest the area by using drones to drop seeds around and plant them. Number 13, our last fact. Could drones that fly us be next? I mean, the first passenger drone was unveiled in 2016 in Yihang, a Chinese company, but it's still going under rigorous testing, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to work out soon. But also, you're going to need a pilot's license. You're going to need a pilot's license to do all this. And finally, we're going to have some humor. Finally, but we only have time for a few jokes, so unfortunately, oh, what a shame. Okay, now here are a few good ones. My 9-year-old Lennox no longer wants to play basketball. No good, Hinson. It's your first year. You don't just start something new and expect to be good at it right away. And Derek Jeter just didn't start playing baseball one day and instantly became great. He put in the time and work and stuck with it. Yeah, and then he quit. He did not quit. He retired. There's a big difference. Okay then, said Lennox. I retired. Yeah, that is great. That's great. He didn't even play, but yeah, he didn't retire yet. Okay, let's go ahead. How to write a classified ad. Next one, how to write a classified ad. Be mindful of specifics before posting an ad on Facebook. I came across that read, looking for an outdoor cat dog house for my mother. I really just hope the mother has a pet. That is so messed up, but it's still pretty good. Okay, Next one, last one. For my 50th birthday, my artist friend Susan gave me one of her paintings of a winding path through a forest. It's an abstract style where the trees twisted into all kinds of shapes, painted in the saturated shades of green, blue, and purple and yellow. And the path cutting through it in the same colors. It's stunning, and I oohed and ahed and gazed at it until that Susan gently took the painting out of my hand, turned it 180 degrees, and said, "You're looking at it upside down." Yeah, I like this thing. But hey, that's all the things we got today. Hopefully you actually watched the whole 25-minute episode. I hope to see you guys soon in the next version of the Reader's Digest, the next half of it, and I'll see you guys then. Until next time, Shannon out, peace! And wherever you are, stay safe, and wear your seatbelt. Yes, wear it.